Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to session 3 of Surah Kahf Day. In this session, you will learn about the miraculous story of Musa alayhi salam, the prophet of Banu Israeel, and Khidr alayhi salam, and the esoteric knowledge that Khidr alayhi salam had. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam has explained the background to the story of Musa and Khidr alayhi salam. He explains that while Musa alayhi salam was once giving a speech, someone asked him who the most knowledgeable person on earth was. Musa alayhi salam replied, Ana, I am. And it was this reply that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not like, even though it was correct. He should have said, Allah is the most knowledgeable, or Allah knows best. Thus, Allah immediately told him of someone who had a different kind of knowledge to him, a man named Khidr alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam said he wanted to meet Khidr alayhi salam and learn from him. So Allah told him to go and meet him where the two seas interact. Allah has made the ocean such that at certain points, two different oceans meet, but don't mix. This is where he was told to go and take a fish with him. When he lost the fish, that is where he would find Khidr alayhi salam. Thus, off he went, taking a helper, Yusha ibn Noon, with him in the quest for learning knowledge. Musa alayhi salam was an old man at this point, but his learning journey never ended, even in old age. Musa alayhi salam told Yusha ibn Noon exactly what he was planning to do, and the two of them travelled until they reached a place to rest. And whilst Musa alayhi salam was sleeping, Yusha alayhi salam lost the fish. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had miraculously caused the fish to return to life, jump into the water and swim away. Once Musa alayhi salam woke up, they continued their journey for a whole day, and at the end of the day, Musa alayhi salam asked for the fish so he could eat some. At this point, Yusha alayhi salam suddenly remembered what had happened the night before, and he blamed Shaitan for making him forget. He concluded that since he lost the fish in the river, the fish must have swum into the sea via the river. Musa alayhi salam realized that the meeting place of the two keys must be close to where they lost the fish, and therefore he retraced his steps to their place of rest the night before. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لَا أَبْرَحُ حَتَّى أَبْلُغَ مَجْمَعَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ أَوْ أَمْضِيَ حُقُبًا فَلَمَّا بَلَغَا مَجْمَعَ بَيْنِهِمَا نَسِيَا حُوتَهُمَا فَاتَّخَذَ سَبِيلَهُ فِي الْبَحْرِ سَرَبًا فَلَمَّا جَاوَزَا قَالَ لِفَتَاهُ آتِنَا غَدَاءَنَا لَقَدْ لَقِينَا مِنْ سَفَرِنَا هَذَا نَصَبًا قال أرأيت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة فإني نسيت الهود وما أنسانيه إلا الشيطان أن أذكره واتخذ سبيله في البحر عجبا قال ذلك ما كنا نبغي فارتدا على آثارهما قصصا. Once they had returned to the place they had slept the night before, they met a man dressed in green standing there. His name was Khidr alayhi salam, a pious servant of Allah, who had been granted mercy and divine knowledge of future events. Musa alayhi salam asked permission to follow Khidr alayhi salam so he could learn from him. But Khidr alayhi salam told him, "You won't be able to have patience with me." This was because Khidr alayhi salam would do things that Musa alayhi salam would never understand. However, Musa alayhi salam insisted and promised that, inshaAllah, he would remain patient and would do exactly what Khidr alayhi salam told him. Khidr alayhi salam told Musa alayhi salam to follow one rule. He had to stay quiet, or whatever happened, and to not ask any questions. Khidr alayhi salam would explain everything in his own time, and Musa alayhi salam agreed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَوَجَدَ عَبْدًا مِّنْ عِبَادِنَا آتَيْنَاهُ رَحْمَةً مِّنْ عِندِنَا وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِن لَّدُنَّا عِلْمًا قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا وكيف تصبر على ما لم تحط به خبرا قال ستجدني إن شاء الله صابرا ولا أعصي لك أمرا قال فإن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرا. Following this agreement, Musa and Khidr alayhi salam began their journey together. They hitched a free ride with some poor men who owned a boat and worked to ferry people along a river. As the boat was sailing along, Khidr alayhi salam suddenly began attacking it and putting planks out, causing damage to the boat and making water leaking but not sinking the boat. Musa alayhi salam was lost for words, describing Khidr alayhi salam's actions as shocking and asking if he wanted to drown the very people that had helped them. Khidr alayhi salam reminded Musa alayhi salam that he wouldn't be able to stay patient, and Musa alayhi salam apologized for forgetting to remain silent. He asked Khidr alayhi salam to be lenient and let him off. Allah says, فانطلقا حتى إذا ركبا في السفينة خرقها قال أخرقتها لتغرق أهلها لقد جئت شيئا إمرا قال ألم أقل إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا قال لا تؤاخذني بما نسيت ولا تلحقني من أمري عسرا. They continued their journey on the now damaged boat until they reached the banks of the river and then dismounted. As they walked along the beachfront, they came across some little children playing on the beach. As they walked past them, Khidr alayhi salam suddenly grabbed one and snapped his neck, killing him instantly. Musa alayhi salam was aghast. How can you kill an innocent child? He asked. What a horrible thing you've done. Once again, Khidr alayhi salam reminded him about how he would not be able to remain patient. Sensing that Khidr alayhi salam would now say they have to split, Musa alayhi salam quickly said, if I ask you one more time, then you can separate from me. Then you'll be justified in doing so. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فانطلقا حتى إذا لقيا غلاما فقتله قال أقتلت نفسا زكية بغير نفس لقد جئت شيئا نكرا قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا قال إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها فلا تصاحبني قد بلغت من لدني عذرا. And so, for the final time, Musa and Khidr alayhi salam continued on their journey together. After a long day of walking, they arrived at a town. Tired and hungry and with no money on them, they asked the locals for a bit of food. Sadly, the locals all refused to give them anything. What a horrible group of people. As they walked through the town, they came to a wall that was close to collapsing. Khidr alayhi salam then spent considerable time and effort repairing the wall, making it strong and straight again. Upon seeing this, Musa alayhi salam commented, you could have charged the locals for this. At this, Khidr alayhi salam remarked that it was now time for them to separate. Musa alayhi salam had once again questioned Khidr alayhi salam's actions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فانطلقا حتى إذا أتيا أهل قرية استطعما أهلها فأبوا أن يضيفوهما فوجدا فيها جدارا يريد أن ينقض فأقامه قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا قال هذا فراق بيني وبينك سأنبئك بتأويل ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا. Khidr alayhi salam then explained all his actions. The boat belonged to some poor people whose only job was working at sea. Some narrations say it belonged to 10 brothers, 5 of whom were disabled. The able brothers would work on the sea and use the income to support their disabled brothers. Behind the mountain that they had passed was a tyrant king who was watching the boats go by and taking the good ones by force. Khidr alayhi salam had damaged the boat on purpose so that the king wouldn't bother taking it, seeing that it was damaged. Once they had passed, the boat could easily be repaired. As for the boy, his parents were good people, but the boy was going to grow up to be a wretched, evil boy who would pressurize his parents into sin and disbelief. Allah wanted the parents to die as believers, so had told Khidr alayhi salam to kill the child, and Allah would grant his parents a better, more caring child in his place. The child had died young, so he was going to heaven anyway, as young children are not held accountable in the hereafter. And the parents would be given another child much better than the first one, so it was a win-win situation for everyone. As for the wall, it belonged to 2 innocent young boys who lived in the city and whose father had passed away. Their father had buried some treasure under the wall, and Allah wanted the wall to collapse when the boys were big and strong, so that they could claim it. Had the wall not been repaired, it would have collapsed, and the treasure would have been exposed. The selfish locals would then have stolen the treasure, and the 2 boys would not have been able to stop them. Khidr alayhi salam then added, I didn't do this of my own accord. In other words, it was Allah who told me to do all of these things. Allah had made him do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أما السفينة فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر فأردت أن أعيبها وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا وأما الغلام فكان أبواه مؤمنين فخشينا أن يرهقهما طغيانا وكفرا فأردنا أن يبدلهما ربهما خيرا منه زكاة وأقرب رحما وأما الجدار فكان لغلامين يتيمين في المدينة وكان تحته كنز لهما وكان أبوهما صالحا فأراد ربك أن يبلغا أشدهما ويستخرجا كنزهما رحمة من ربك وما فعلته عن أمري ذلك تأويل ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا. So, what lessons can we learn from the story of Musa and Khidr alayhi salam? Number 1, we should always say Allah knows best when asked about knowledge. Number 2, what may outwardly appear to be bad may actually turn out to be good. There are many things that happen in the world and that may not make sense to us, as demonstrated by the actions of Khidr alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam's objections to them. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows these things to happen for a reason that we don't know. We should trust the decision and reasoning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all matters. And despite our best efforts, if any harm does happen to us, we should accept it as a decree and decision of Allah and move on. And number 3, do not be arrogant if you have lots of knowledge. If you are in set 1 or you've gained a degree or master's or PhD and someone else is in set 4 and not achieved good grades, remain humble and don't look down on others. The activity for this section is that in the story of Musa and Khidr alayhi salam, Khidr alayhi salam carries out a number of actions that appeared to be harmful, but actually they were best for everyone involved. Reflect on your own life and write 3 occasions when something happened that made you sad or upset, or appeared negative but eventually actually turned out to be better for you. Write it on the paper that you used earlier, on which you drew your picture or you wrote your poem. Share these occasions with the rest of the class. Chocolates will be given to all those who contribute. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.